This is an Indie on the Rise Radiothon interview, brought to you by WOW Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Persia Red, and I am back doing another interview with an indie artist, and her name is Amy Wolfe. Hi, Miss
Hey there.
How are you doing?
Hey, I'm fine. Thank you.
I'm good. So, you have a book out right now. It is called Don't Let Me Die in a Motel 6.
That's right. Exactly. Or one woman struggled through the Great Recession.
And actually, for anybody that's interested, you can find this on Amazon.com as one of the places. And
Thank you.
It is under Amy Wolfe, A-M-Y, Wolfe spelled W-O-L-F. So if you guys want to go and pick this up, you know, it's definitely on here. Can you tell us about Don't Let Me Die in a Motel 6?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, it is only 99 cents in the Kindle store. An end of my shameless promotion there. But it's basically the story of the worst 4 years of my life, okay? It basically spans from 2008 through 2011, sort of 12. And it starts with the failure of Washington Mutual Bank. I was up there at the corporate office in Seattle, and I was, you know, a literal witness to history as the bank just, boom, imploded around me. So I, of course, lost my job, along with literally tens of thousands of people. 2 days later, my husband lost his job at Boeing, and then I hit literally every bumper on the recession machine, right? So I had unemployment, bankruptcy, foreclosure. They repoed my car, and in addition, I had a kind of crazy husband and an adopted 12-year-old daughter with issues. So as this was going on, but wait, there's more, as they say, then I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer.
Oh my gosh.
There was a lot, and yet the book is a comedy. It's true. It is a funny take. I like to compare it to Sideways, written by my friend Rex Pickett, where you take tragic events and you make them funny, you know, just so you and the reader can get through it.
Right. I did not know this was sort of like a documentary of you.
It is. It's a comic memoir, basically. It really is my life, and it may seem incredible, but everything in the book is true.
Oh my gosh. So let's start from the beginning here. Because this actually goes into what I see. Also, I want to talk about, where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born not far from where I am now, in beautiful Encino, California, and that is a suburb of the Valley, you know, like the Valley, you know, in Los Angeles. So, and I lived there for 12 years, and I spent 10 years in Seattle, which, you know, has its good points, but, you know, being from the Valley, I just really miss the sun and the weather, so I came crawling back as soon as W.O.W blew up. So pretty much I've lived most of my life in Los Angeles.
Okay. And you said this all started in 2008? Yes,
the official death of W.O.W. I think it was late September of 2008, and I describe it in the book. It's really the first chapter. It's, you know, one day, you know, things are basically okay. You know, there were rumors and talks, and then the next day, you know, we come in and, surprise, you know, this bank has been closed. It was the largest bank failure in U.S. history, and the other surprise was that, oh, by the way, Chase has bought you. So we didn't even find this out officially. I got an email from my friend down here in L.A. telling us. So, yeah, it was a surprise, to say the least. And what it meant is that all of us in the back offices were toast, because, of course, Chase already had their own people. So we're talking, you know, literally tens of thousands of people in Seattle. Boom, you know, no job.
Wow. Yeah. You said there had been rumors.
Yeah, because the stock price was falling, you know, and there were rumors about W.O.W. There was a run on the bank, you know, it was something like something out of a Frank Capra movie. And, depositors were nervous and, it was getting pretty intense. But, in the back office, we didn't know. We were very sheltered from really loan policy and what was going on and, all that. We were just poor little IT people doing our coding, and we really, nobody, I don't think, imagined that the bank would actually fail and be closed. It's huge. I mean, W.O.W had a portfolio of $300 billion, and Chase bought the bank for $1.8 billion, which is, it's a bargain basement deal, right?
Yeah.
So, nice move. And the FDIC certainly helped, for whatever reason. And, it just during the recession, they let a lot of huge companies just go down, like us, and I believe Lehman, and others were okay to rescue, like Goldman Sachs with all of its political connections, and the other banks, basically they got the big TARP bailout. But W.O.W, for whatever reason, was just allowed to fail, and I think it's pretty sad. There was a bunch of really good people, really dedicated, and just poof, they're gone. Even those who were close to retirement, just gone.
Yeah, that is really sad because, you don't really think about anything like that happening. You hear about it in other places just for, yourself alone. That's not something you
Well, W.O.W was so huge, and it wasn't like, a recent, debutante at the bank ball because it had been around for 116 years. It was founded after the Great Fire of Seattle in 1889. So this bank really had a history. And as I'm sure everybody in the U.S. knows, they started acquiring all these other huge banks like Amundsen and Coast and blah, and soon, you'd see a W.O.W branch on every corner. But the thought of it going down was like you wake up one morning and suddenly, oh, there's no Disney. Coca-Cola has gone bankrupt. I mean, that's really how it was for us. It was such a huge company. The thought of it actually failing and being closed, just wasn't within any notion that we had.
Stuff like that is definitely sad. The fact that you can actually, kind of bring some comical relief to it is just amazing because I couldn't think.
Yeah, I tried.
The government was on freeze, like that alone scared the living crap out of me because it was just like, well, what am I going to do, what am I going to do, what am I going to do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it was, a highlight. In fact, it was really sort of the beginning of the end for me in terms of my downward slide because obviously without the income from that job, everything else just sort of slid along with that. And, of course, my husband and I had, followed the American government. We had overspent. We were totally into deficit spending. We had charged up credit cards. We had benefited from the home loan bubble. We were living in a beautiful house, where we had actually put in stables and a barn and a stream. We were living the good life. And then suddenly, boom, there's no income and, the axe starts to fall. Like I said, bankruptcy, foreclosure, and even repo. So very interesting for me because I had worked, like 33 years without a break in my life, mainly in the film business, and this was a totally new experience for me.
And, like, the fact that it's not like you're solo doing this. Like, you have a husband. You have a stepdaughter. Like, you have...
Yeah. Yes, I did. I did. However, if you read the book, and I hope everyone does, you'll see that my husband, unfortunately, was not a huge help to me. He, I think really got overwhelmed and very obsessed with our daughter, whom we adopted. And ultimately, I ended up going back down to L.A. so I could get a job because that's where my contacts were. And ultimately, there was a brouhaha up there, and the police intervened, and my daughter was sent down to me in L.A., so she was living with me. And she and I, thank God, are on a really good footing now, and she's living with me, but there were some very, very rocky years. She has a past that is unbelievable. She was taken away from a schizophrenic mother at the age of 9. She was put in about 16 foster homes, and then we adopted her. And obviously, with that kind of a past, she had a lot of issues, a lot of behavioral issues, even post-traumatic stress syndrome, a lot of defiance, even violence. And, it was pretty tough. It was pretty tough, but I have to say it's a happy ending. And thank God she was on the streets for a while, but we came to a agreement, and she is now safe and living with me.
Okay, so she stays with you.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How does she like it out there in California?
I think she really likes it. She was never a fan of snow, and she was from a pretty small town up in Washington, so she really likes L.A. She's a very quick, witty person, very smart, so she fits in here great. She's made a lot of friends, and, I think she's become an Angelina.
Okay, that's good. That's wonderful to hear that she's, taking everything in and not having a hard time.
No, she never really did on that front. It was more personal. The scary thing was, it's a long story, but she managed to AWOL from all of these group homes that the, child family services put her in. She's like Houdini. It's like, poof, she's gone. So the last time, unfortunately, she ended up on the streets of Hollywood for 4 months, and that is a very rough place. There's a lot of teen runaways, and the things that she has described to me, if you put it in a book, people wouldn't even believe it as fiction. It's so amazing, the things that go on there. So I'm just really grateful that she's out of there and safe in a stable house with food, So I feel like that was a big victory this year.
Has she read your book? How does she feel about your book?
She did. She read it aloud to her boyfriend, and they loved it. I heard them roaring with laughter. Even though there's a lot in there. There's a lot in there about her, the good and the bad, as there is about me, because I do not make myself a saint or an angel in this. I absolutely, point out my failures and flaws. But she loved it. She really enjoyed it. So that's good.
That is good. I mean, a lot of kids would be like, "Oh, Mom's talking about these."
She's been through so much for her age that I think that this is nothing, compared to the things that she's experienced in the past.
Right. I mean, how are you coping now with everything? Because I know you're no longer in Seattle; you're back in California.
Right. Well,
job and everything. How?
Yeah. Things are definitely better. They really are, because, during this whole cycle, and again, this is all in the book, I was so close to being homeless, seriously. My daughter and I, we were literally down to the, scouring for change level just to be able to eat. It was that bad. I did have some unemployment, but then obviously that runs out. I did have occasional contract gigs, but, they would only last for maybe a month or two. And it was really tough going. We didn't qualify for food stamps. Don't ask me why. And so it was tough. Now thank God, things have turned around. I didn't really get a permanent job for about 2.5 years, and I really, really tried. Cancer certainly stopped me cold in the job search, but finally I did catch on at a place out here, and I started a contract, and then they liked me, so I was full-time there for 1.5 years, which was great, back to a salary and benefits. And now I'm contracting at a big bank for the big bucks. And, I'm instead of living in a 400-square-foot studio, I now am able to rent a house with actual walls and rooms. So I think things, for me, have really looked up, and I just want everybody to know who's been affected by all of this that, you can come out the other side. It is possible. You just have to, just keep trying and don't give up.
Right. You mentioned breast cancer. What is going on with that? What stage are you in?
Quite a bit. Now, I am a 2-time survivor at this point. My first bout was in 2007 up in Seattle, and that was actually not so bad. I was only a stage 0, and I was able to get away with a lumpectomy and a special radiation that they call mammocyte. And kind of a long story, but it only lasts twice a day for 5 days, and you're done. So, that was like a cakewalk. I think that with all the stress of unemployment and my husband and my daughter and all this, it definitely got to me physically, and I was diagnosed again with stage 2 breast cancer, and this was in June of 2010. And the problem here is that it was way worse. It was in the lymph nodes, and it was, what they call advancing or, attacking. So this time I did the whole 9, and that was basically, I had to have a double lumpectomy, and basically chemo, which I'll get into later, and 7 weeks of radiation. That's 35 sessions. And I'm now on this pill called Femara that I need to be on for 5 years. And I also had to have infusions, which are shots into my chemo port for 1 year of something called Herceptin. Because I hit the lottery here. I was positive for everything. Positive for estrogen, positive for what they call HER2. So, I basically did it all. And I lost my hair completely, and basically went through the whole thing, So that's been interesting. Like I said, the second time was way worse than the first.
Well, how do you feel now?
Well, quite honestly, it's something that stays with you. It's not like even after a couple of years you're going to, wake up and start, dancing across the room, because for me anyway, the radiation was very enervating, and it has taken me so long to get my strength back, and I still don't have it. But while I was doing it, if I could just get up and go, to the session, that was a victory. I was just, I was exhausted. Chemo for me was a disaster, and I don't want to discourage anybody else from doing it. But for me, my doctor said I was the one patient out of thousands who had this extreme reaction. So it was like, naturally, of course. And after 1 session, it actually put me in the hospital for 6 days. And I had what's called neutropenia, which is, your immune system melts down. And it was just going. So I said, no more chemo for me. And so, it's like everything that shouldn't have happened did. Like my chemo port, I got a clot, and so I had to be on blood thinners and got to take all these shots to the stomach, which is fun. And I had to go out to dinner with a portable IV, which is, a very nice accessory. And, just like everything that could happen did, basically.
I can actually understand that, because my mom actually had cancer and she went through chemo. And she was bedridden. She, a lot of stuff happened with the house and everything. Luckily, she, the family was able to come together and help. But when I was in high school, I thought I was going to lose my mom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is a lot of more people survive now because of these incredible drugs like Herceptin, but, it still can be a killer, unfortunately. If it metastasizes, which means, basically moves from the breast to other organs and parts of the body, that's when the problems come. So I just feel very, very lucky, to be a 2-time survivor. And I feel I've earned my stripes, especially with the last time.
Right. Yeah, I definitely understand. My mom definitely... yeah.
I know, it's hard. And, just for all the people out there who are going through it, or survivors, or, there's all this press about, should you have a mammogram or should you not? Let me tell you this. Having a mammogram has saved my life twice, okay? Not once, twice. I had no lumps, nothing visible. It was only the mammogram and then a follow-up ultrasound that found my cancer. So please, I beg every woman listening to this, have a mammogram. If you want to start when you're 40 or 50, but please, have it yearly. It is literally a lifesaver. No kidding. and I am living proof.
Right, yeah. I definitely go in for those all the time. Like,
Yeah.
it's not anything to play with. And even guys take for granted prostate cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Go get checked. It's just a once a year thing. You know, it's just not
yeah.
as females that go through stuff like this.
Well, all you listeners, if you don't want to go through what I did, okay, and I'm talking surgery, and I'm talking chemo ports inserted in you and taken out, and drains, and losing your hair, and becoming violently ill from the drugs and radiation, you know what? It's not worth it. Go in, however afraid you might be, and have that test. Trust me, it's a million times better than the alternative.
It is. Better to catch it early.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no question about that.
So what do you feel like your listeners should take away from this book?
You know, I guess it's really two messages, I think. One, to people like me who really got hammered during the recession, I think you can see again, you know, here's this horrific story, and mine's worse than most because, you know, it's paired with kind of, you know, crazy family issues, you know, and breast cancer, is that, you know, you can get through it. The economy is better now. I can tell you there are more jobs. I know it because I can see it in the job listings. So it's not as dire as it was during those terrible years, you know, of, I'd say, 2008 through 2010. Breast cancer people, survivors, soon-to-be survivors, anybody, I want you to know that you can get through it too. When you're going through it, it seems like it's endless, you know, that you're just caught in this dark tunnel and you're never going to get out. But I think through my book you can see, yes, you can come back to what Susan Sontag calls the kingdom of the well. And you can absolutely come back and leave it behind and lead a normal, happy life. Those are really the two main messages.
That's awesome. Like, I wish you the absolute best. Like, soaring skies from here. You absolutely, if anyone, deserve it.
Okay.
That's a lot. There's a lot to go through, and I cannot imagine. I don't want
yeah.
to. I don't want to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, basically the way that I describe the book is that it's like the story of Job, only with a lot more kvetching. Okay? So, you know, along with all of these travails, like I said, everybody, it's a comedy. And I've done stand-up at the Comedy Store here in Hollywood, so that's part of my background. So it's not like this woeful tale that's going to make you want to kill yourself. It's actually, hopefully, really funny, or, you know, people have said that they found it funny. So that's the other thing. If you want a good laugh, this is a good way to get it.
Sounds good. You know, I will definitely keep in touch and be checking on you. And we'll be doing a follow-up interview with you to see how things are going, so that your fans and everybody that follows you can, you know, keep track of what's going on with you.
Great. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the exposure. And it's fun.
I mean, I'm really honored that you took the time out to have this interview with me. I definitely learned a lot from you in these few minutes that we've talked. And, you know, I know if I learned something, everybody else should be able to pick up something. Because
I think so. It's just basically how to cope with really bad stuff, you know.
Of course. Will you be coming out with any other books in the near future?
You know, I'm thinking of doing a sequel, Don't Let Me Die in a 400-square-foot studio, because that is what I was living in for several years. So stay tuned.
Okay. I definitely look forward to that. I'm sure many of your followers do. You see it, you've heard it first here. The next book that may come out in the near future.
That's right. This is the first time.
Well, again, I am honored to have talked to you, and I do hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and that I will be in touch with you very soon.
Great. Well, I really appreciate it, Persia. Thank you.
You're welcome, Ms. Wolfe.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
This has been another Indie on the Rise Radiothon interview brought to you by WOW Radio. For more info, contact info@wowuradio.net.